Right. And our goal here is really to unpack the business lessons hidden in this drama. Why specific skills, technical skills demonstrated under fire eventually win out over who you know or just having the right title.
Exactly. It's a fascinating setup. The story, it's got this core tension, doesn't it? How this, single act of kindness JD does.
Buying the shoes.
Buying the shoes. It kicks off this whole corporate drama, and we see competence finally just push aside the cronyism. We're going to track the characters and see how real expertise becomes the deciding factor.
Yeah, the expertise is key. So the players are José Daniel, our economist hero, and there's Alejandra, she's the boss, Paul Bastidas, the guy who gets the job initially, Damaris, the assistant, and Don Cheo, the partner, kind of the ultimate authority figure here.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. JD's initial problem. He's running late for this really important interview, right? For manager and strategic projects. High-stakes stuff.
Totally. But then, just as he's rushing, he gets stopped by Alejandra. Now, he has no idea she's the CEO, the person he's supposed to interview with.
Right, he just sees someone in need.
And she asks him to do this urgent, kind of weird favor. Run out and buy her a brand new pair of heels, size 38.
Now, this is where it gets interesting from an analytical angle. He's late, his future's on the line, but he does it. And not just that. The story highlights this detail.
He haggles.
He haggles over the shoes. He gets the price down from $25 to $23.50. Tells the shop owner there for his wife, to maybe get a better deal.
It's subtle, but it's right there. It's not just kindness. It's like this immediate, almost unconscious display of, financial savvy,
right,
resource optimization, even before he's technically in the running.
Yeah, showing his value without even trying. But that little detour costs him. He gets to the interview and he's late.
And Damaris, the assistant, she's strictly by the book, tells him, nope, too late. You'll have to reapply. She does let him leave his folder, his CV and stuff, though.
So JD leaves, probably kicking himself, thinking it's just bad luck, right? He even mutters something about breaking glass and 7 years bad luck in the source.
But then the whole situation flips. Alejandra arrives. Sees the shoes, presumably happy with the errand being done.
Yeah.
And even though she doesn't connect him to the job yet, she tells Damaris, find that young man who helped me, offer him some kind of job.
So that little favor, that transaction, it created this like personal IOU that completely bypassed the formal hiring process.
Which honestly was probably a good thing for JD because that formal process, it seems immediately flawed.
How so?
Well, Damaris, maybe trying to quickly fill the position or who knows, maybe playing favorites, she presents Paul Bastidas as the best candidate for the strategic projects manager role. But here's the first huge red flag. Paul's degree, business administration. The job explicitly required an economist. That's a fundamentally different skill set for this kind of analytical role.
Ah, right. So either she didn't understand the job or maybe Paul was, connected.
Either cronyism or incompetence, basically. JD gets called back.
But the manager job's gone.
Right. JD gets called back.
But the manager job's gone.
Right. So Damaris offers him the janitor position.
Yeah.
And the company feels the impact straight away.
Because they give Paul this really complex task immediately.
Exactly. Review 3 old projects, do a full profitability analysis, figure out what to replicate, what to avoid. And critically, the analysis must include specific financial indicators, IRR, internal rate of return, and NPV, net present value.
These aren't just buzzwords. They're core metrics for deciding if a project is financially viable. You can't fake knowing this stuff.
Nope. And the irony is just perfect. While Paul, the unqualified manager, is drowning in technical requirements he can't meet, so Damaris offers him the janitor position. Big letdown for an economist, you'd think. But JD, maybe out of necessity, maybe seeing some kind of opportunity, he takes the job. He accepts being in the building, even if it's mopping floors.
And this is where the story gets really good, right? The janitor uniform becomes this sort of invisibility cloak. But his actual expertise starts to leak out anyway.
Totally. There are 2 key interactions we need to look at. First, the run-in with Paul.
What happens there?
JD's cleaning near Paul's desk and gets caught, sort of, glancing at the project materials. And he doesn't just glance. He actually clarifies the definitions of VAN, which is NPV, net present value, and IRR. He knows the language.
Wow, so the janitor is casually discussing advanced financial metrics. How does Paul react?
Predictably, I guess. Pure arrogance fueled by insecurity. He snaps at JD, calls him the janitor, tells him to stick to cleaning and stay away from his desk, trying to use his title to shut down the competence he obviously feels threatened by.
Classic. But JD isn't easily put off, it seems. What's the second interaction?
It's with Alejandra again. They bump into each other, and she actually remembers him from the shoe errand.
Okay.
And JD, he does something really clever. Remember how he haggled the price down? He subtly points out that she left the original $25 price tag on the shoes.
Ah, so he's gently reminding her of the value he provided, that he saved her money without being pushy.
Exactly. It's like a quiet little reinforcement. I noticed. I delivered. Smart move. She even invites him for coffee sometime, perhaps intrigued.
That little reminder must have planted a seed. Because shortly after, Paul submits his first progress report on that big project.
And it's a disaster. Alejandra reviews it, and her assessment is blunt. Everything is wrong.
Not just minor errors.
No, fundamentally flawed. Paul's proposal, based on his faulty analysis, is apparently so bad it risks locking the company into a terrible agreement with a bigger partner. The lack of real financial rigor isn't just embarrassing, it's now a major business risk, a potential crisis.
Which leads us straight to the climax, the showdown.
Yep. This is where it all comes to a head. Titles mean nothing. Only the numbers matter now. Alejandra has to meet with Don Cheo, the partner, the other owner, to review this critical project. And she knows her appointed manager, Paul, is completely out of his depth.
So Paul has to present to Don Cheo. This is going to be painful.
How it is, he gets up there, starts talking vague goals, increase imports, stop exports, boost profits, standard corporate speak.
But Don Cheo isn't having it.
Not at all. He cuts right through it, demands specifics. How? How are you going to achieve this? And crucially, what are the IRR and NPV? The exact metrics Paul doesn't understand.
The moment of truth. And Paul
Crumbles completely. He can't answer. He starts stammering about a favorable scenario.
Yeah.
But he has no hard data, no IRR, no NPV, nothing to back up the plan. The company's strategy is hanging by a thread because the person in charge lacks the core competence.
And just when it looks like it's all falling apart.
Enter JD steps forward, likely still in his janitor outfit, and reviews he's the one who actually developed the viable plan. He hadn't just been cleaning, he'd apparently seen the mess Paul was making and worked all night on his own initiative.
Wow, so he did the work Paul was supposed to do.
And he didn't just do some work, he provides the exact specific numbers Don Cheo was asking for. This is where his expertise just shines. He states the NPV is projected at, what was it?
A respectable $28,450.
And the IR.
A solid 23.4%, but he adds it could potentially hit over 30% if they optimize logistics. He's not just reporting, he's strategizing.
He's speaking the language of finance fluently, but what really blows them away, what seals it, is the depth of his analysis. Don Cheo pushes him, asks about sensitivity analysis basically. How robust is this projection under given conditions?
Standard question for a major project, you'd expect the manager to anticipate that.
Paul obviously didn't. But JD, he confirms he didn't just calculate it once. He modeled the whole thing using 3 different discount rates, 10%, 12%, and 15%. He built detailed Excel tables. He stress tested the numbers.
That's thorough.
But wait, there's more. The real kicker, the thing that proves he's operating on a whole other level. He ran a Monte Carlo simulation.
Okay, now that's serious financial modeling. That's used for assessing risk in complex scenarios.
Exactly. He mentions testing for critical variables, even modeling for high inflation, like up to 8%. Paul couldn't even find the basic IRR, and JD's running advanced statistical simulations on systemic risks. The contrast is just stark.
You can imagine Don Cheo's reaction.
Total disbelief. The source says he's shocked that a mathematical genius is working as the janitor. JD confirms he studied economics at a good university, Casa Grande.
And Don Cheo makes the call right then and there.
Instantly. He says negotiations on this project only go forward if JD is leading it, period. The job, the real responsibility, goes to the person with the proven technical ability, not the one with the empty title.
So the resolution after that is pretty swift, right? Cleaning house, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, it's decisive. Alejandra fires Paul on the spot for the completely inadequate proposal. Makes sense.
Then she fires Damaris, the assistant. Now, is that fair? Or is Damaris just the scapegoat here? Alejandra hired her, after all.
It's a really good point to analyze. I mean, Damaris definitely messed up. She hired Paul knowing he wasn't qualified, or at least she should have known. And she put JD, an economist she had the folder for, into the janitor role. That's bad judgment, maybe worse.
So not just an innocent mistake.
Probably not. The narrative kind of implies she was part of the problem, maybe upholding the system where qualifications didn't matter as much as something else. So Alejandra firing her, maybe it wasn't just about Paul, but about fixing the broken hiring process itself, removing that failure point.
Okay, that makes sense. Systemic correction. So Paul's out, Damaris is out. What about JD?
Alejandra confronts him. Wants to know why he didn't just tell her he was an economist when they first met or when she remembered him.
And his answer?
It's perfect, really. Simple honesty. He says, basically, you never asked. And when he did apply, the manager job was already filled, so Damaris gave him the janitor job. He just took the work that was offered.
No complaints, just stated facts.
Exactly. So Alejandra, having learned a pretty tough lesson about competence versus credentials, finally hires José Daniel as the project manager, the role he should have had from the start.
And they agree to finally have that coffee she'd offered him earlier. A nice touch.
Yeah. So pulling it all together, what's the big takeaway here? For me, it's that the initial act of kindness, buying the shoes, it was just the key to get in the door. It wasn't the reason he got the real job.
Right. What actually secured his promotion from janitor to project lead was his specific, undeniable, high-level technical skill. The NPV, the IRR, the sensitivity analysis.
And especially that Monte Carlo simulation. That wasn't just competence, that was excellence, demonstrated right when the company was staring down to potential disaster. That skill became the ultimate proof of his value.
So, competence revealed in a crisis basically trumps everything else, Daniels. Who, maybe even formal qualifications if they aren't backed by real ability. JD proved his worth when it mattered most.
Absolutely. He didn't just write a report. He provided the financial analysis needed to save the day, essentially. That's non-negotiable value.
Which brings us to the final thought for you, listening. JD, he technically failed the interview process, right? He missed the appointment. But he absolutely nailed the crisis scenario. He did that by preparing and performing at a level far beyond what his temporary, low-level job description required. So maybe the question to ask yourself is, what task or project are you working on right now? Something that seems small, maybe even unrelated to your main role.
Yeah, something maybe nobody's paying much attention to.
Exactly. What if you approach that task with the same rigor JD applied? Modeled it deeply, analyzed it thoroughly, like he did with this Monte Carlo simulation. Could that become the undeniable proof you need to show your own hidden expertise and maybe completely change your own career path? Something to think about?
Leave a comment, tell me what you think, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.
I beg, if you have not subscribed to my channel, make you press the subscribe button. Don't forget to press the notification bell so whenever I drop a video like this, you'll be notified.